Hi guys, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm just testing the sound now. Just leave me a comment so I know you can hear me. Can you hear me? If you are in the live stream, kindly leave me a comment and let me know if you can hear me. I just want to be sure that the microphone is working. So if you're in the live stream, just leave me a comment and let me know if you can hear me, if the sound is working as it's supposed to. Let me know if you can hear me. If you're in the live stream and you can hear me, just let me know. Kindly leave me a comment and let me know if the sound is working correctly. So if you can hear me, just let me know. Welcome to this episode of People Who Inspire. I'm just trying to get the sound to test if the sound is working. And yeah. Okay, so I think the sound is working if you can hear me. So, hi guys. So if you're in the stream, just leave me a comment. Let me know if the sound is working. If you can hear me properly. If if the sound is working, just let me know. Yeah. And we can already start today's episode. So this is quite a different episode than we normally have. This is the first episode of People Who Inspire for 2021, and it's the first one for the year. I'm just excited to come your way. And as many of you already know, I already launched my YouTube channel, and if you would want to support the channel, that would be awesome. But for today, we are here for the People Who Inspire series. And today being the first episode for the year, I decided to do a speed mentoring session. So basically the idea behind today's episode is to take questions from you. If you have any questions about your business, about what it means to be an entrepreneur, if you have any doubts, if you have any gaps in your idea or in your ideation process, if you would want to pick my brain on topics pertaining to business, pertaining to the purpose-driven life, pertaining to things that I've already shared on this channel, or pertaining to the topics that I shared on my YouTube channel, please feel free to just put in your comment and let me know. So that's the whole purpose for today's episode of People Who Inspire. It's a speed mentoring session, so it means that as quickly as you can, just type in your comment and I would do my best to respond to whatever questions you may have. So let's already start. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if, first of all, is the audio okay? If you're tuned in, just let me know if the audio is working correctly. If the audio is fine, just let me know. Put in the comments and let's see if you can hear me, if the audio is fine. So let me know if you can hear me and if the audio is fine for you. So if you can hear me, just let me know. If the audio is working properly, just let me know. If the audio is working as it's supposed to, just let me know. And then we can take your questions if you have any. Hi guys, so if you are tuned in for today's episode, I'm taking questions, so it's a speed mentoring session. And if you have any questions for me regarding your business, regarding entrepreneurship, regarding previous episodes that we've had, or regarding the start and launch of my YouTube channel, just put in the comment session and let me know if you have any questions. So the whole idea for today is to just take questions and to have an interactive session with all of you out there. So if you are tuned in today's episode of People Who Inspire, it's just me and you. So if you're tuned in, this is a speed mentoring session for you. So just type in your questions if you have any questions. If you have any queries bordering on entrepreneurship and how to grow your business, how to really nurture the idea that you have, how to kind of stimulate even your creativity, and some of the principles that I personally apply to the things that I do. I think that this would be helpful if you're interested. And if you have any questions, if you have any questions, just let me know, and we can have a very interactive session today. So yeah, let's see if I'm going to get the first question from any one of you watching. Again, if you just tuned in, this is the speed mentoring session of People Who Inspire. The whole idea for today's episode is to take questions from you. If you have any questions, if you have any gaps in your ideas, or if you want any perspective regarding the idea that you have, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, or if you are thinking of starting your own company, if you are thinking of starting your own business, if you are contemplating what your next move should be regarding your business, I mean, whatever the questions you may have, please just feel free, put in your comments, put in your questions, and I shall attempt to answer them to the best of my knowledge. So it's a speed mentoring session. It's really quick questions, quick answers, and hopefully you would glean some lesson or two from my response. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me your questions, what your questions are, and let's get to today's episode. Just let's get it going. Yeah. So it's really supposed to be an interactive session here. So if you want to have answers to some of the questions that you have, just let me know. And yeah, I'm looking forward to taking your questions for sure. Let's see. So who is going to bell the cat? Who is going to ask the first question? And then we can start some interactive session here. So if you have any questions, if you have any, Hi guys. So if you are tuned in, just send me a comment, send me a question. It's supposed to be a speed mentoring session, so I'm just here for you, right? If you have any questions you would want to ask, just feel free and just go ahead. Let me know what your questions are. So if you have any questions, please send them through. I'm waiting for your questions. If any of you have any questions, I'm here to help with any questions that you may have. Just feel free to send through your questions, and let's get some conversations going. See, if you have any questions, please just type them in there. Hi, guys. So, welcome. It's another episode of People Who Inspire. I'm excited because today I'm just giving the opportunity for all of you to ask as much or as many questions as possible. And if you have any, let's say, questions regarding your business, regarding your idea, how you can foster and nurture that idea even better. So just send through your questions. It's a speed mentoring episode. So the whole idea is to take as many questions from you as possible. And it's quite impromptu, but I believe that if you have a minute or two, you could just join the live stream and then you can ask your questions. Right. So if you have any questions at all regarding your business, regarding the idea that you are contemplating, and the next steps for your entrepreneurial journey, just feel free to send through your questions and let's have a conversation. I mean, it's a speed mentoring session, so the whole idea is to get as much of your questions as possible, and yeah, we should have a very fruitful conversation. It's just so let's see if any of you would have. I think I have just 30 minutes more. So let's see if I get any questions. Maybe, yeah. Let's see. If you just joined, it's the speed mentoring episode of People Who Inspire, the kind of a last minute decision to go live today to take your questions, as many of you that have questions to ask us, many of you that have any form of doubts regarding your idea. Sometimes you don't know where to start from. Sometimes you don't know who to talk to concerning your idea, what you should do, and the right things to do in order to kickstart that idea. So I'm just here doing a speed mentoring session, a very short episode for People Who Inspire today. I'm just taking all your questions. If you have questions, if you have any form of question concerning your business, concerning your idea, any input that you would want to have from me, I'm available just for today. And then we can kickstart the conversation along those lines. So do you have any questions for me? So if you're joining us now, or if you're joining me now, I'm just taking questions from the audience. So if you have any questions concerning your business, concerning your idea, please send them through and let's have a conversation. I still have a few minutes more to be live. So if you have any questions, if you're an entrepreneur, if you are contemplating, starting your own business, I'm here. Just ask your question and let's get the conversations going. Yes. So if you joined us today, just send your questions. If you have any questions. So today's episode of People Who Inspire is about you, right? It's really about you. I want to make it an opportunity for you to ask questions. If you have any ideas you'd want to bounce off and you want to share, you want to get some more insights on, just feel free and send me your questions, send me your inputs, or if you have any doubts, if you want a second opinion about the business you're doing, and just send them through. I'm here for a couple more minutes, and then we can have a fruitful conversation. So today's episode of People Who Inspire is especially for you, right? Just send me your questions, send me your questions. It's all about question time. It's a speed mentoring session, so just send me your questions and let's get the conversations going. Yeah. I'm taking your questions still. If you have any questions for me, please just feel free to ask them. So, you have any questions, just send them through. I'm still waiting for your questions. If you have any questions, just send them through. I'll still be live for a couple more minutes for the speed mentoring episode of People Who Inspire. So the whole idea once more is to take your questions and to address the questions that you have. So, hi guys. So, I'm still taking a few questions from you. If you have questions regarding your business, regarding your idea, if you want to have some conversation around the doubts that you may have regarding your business, maybe you're confused, what is the next stage? How do you rally through the pandemic? while your business may be struggling, whatever the question is regarding your business, or you are an entrepreneur, or you want to be an entrepreneur, you have some ideas you would want to roll out, just send through your questions. I've got a few minutes for you, and yeah, just type in your questions and send through your questions. So please send your questions through. If you have any questions, kindly send them through. It's a speed mentoring session, so I would only share what your questions are or throw more light on what your questions may be. So, yeah. So I think I have maybe 10 more minutes. Then I end this live stream. at least for now. So I'm still waiting for your questions. If you have any questions, just send them through. Let's have a conversation. Let's have some tete-a-tete. Yeah, let's see. So if you have any questions in today's episode of People Who Inspire, it's a speed mentoring session, as I mentioned earlier. And if you have any questions, if you have any gaps you have regarding your entrepreneurial journey, regarding your business, and if you want my input to really see how best to make the idea work, just let me know. I'm here for you today. So at least for the next few minutes, I'll take some more questions and then we can end today's episode. Hey, Cotton, how are you, Joe? Hey, Daniel. Yeah, thank you, Daniel, for your question. It's a very good question. So Daniel is asking how to find your purpose during the pandemic. I think it's a very laudable question for sure. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Just taking questions today, at least for the next few minutes. So your question is very relevant in the times we find ourselves in. First of all, purpose is really there irrespective of a pandemic or not, right? So the pandemic only gives us a little bit more time to think through our life choices and to think through what we really want to do. So what the pandemic has really done is to slow us down a little bit. In most instances, we are kind of busy running around chasing after a lot of things, right? But what the pandemic has done is to kind of slow us down a little bit, to have time to ponder on certain issues, especially the issue of purpose. So the whole topic about purpose transcends, the coming of this pandemic, this COVID-19 pandemic. First of all, let's understand a few fundamentals right. Purpose is the original intent for which something has been made. Okay, so there are three key blocks when it comes to answering the question about purpose. The first block is that there is an original intent, right? That is purpose. So for every question we have regarding purpose, we must understand that there is an original intent, and that original intent has a source, right? So there's a source of that original intent. There's the original intent, and then there's the subject who is supposed to fulfill that original intent. In this case, you and I. So first of all, there's the source of the intent, which based on my belief system, I believe that there's a transcendent God who gives us this original intent, right? So now the question is, we understand who the source is, who is God, and the key gap that normally we have is, what is that original intent? And of course, the subject is you and I, humanity, you and I. So we are supposed to fulfill that purpose. The most difficult question that I find, answering this specific question you ask is, what is the original intent? The first thing that I would recommend is connecting to the source. Like I said, there are 3 blocks when you want to understand the purpose of life: the source, the intent, and the subject. So there's always an original intent for which something was made. So this phone that I'm holding, the creator, the maker, has an original intent for which this phone, he created or manufactured this phone. This mouse that I have, this it's a Logitech mouse. They had a specific intent for which they made this mouse, right? So if you look at your life, there's an original intent for which you are here on earth. And whether there's a pandemic or not, you are expected to fulfill this purpose. But this purpose or this original intent comes from somewhere, or comes from someone, and that someone is God. So God is the source of that, that original intent. And you are the subject who is supposed to fulfill that original intent. So the first thing you need to do, I'll show you 3 key things or 3 principles that I apply. The first principle is, like I said, connecting to the source. Every time or every day that you veer off or you go astray from the source, right, you widen the gap between you and that original intent or fulfilling that original intent. Right? And this is crucial. And that's why I remember growing up, we used to be told to have our quiet time every day. The reason is that when you spend time meditating, when you spend time cogitating, you spend time with the Word of God, and you spend time with the source, the more it is you are here, the more likely it is, for you to hear His voice even more clearly. The number 2 principle is that purpose is not instantaneous, or the discovery of purpose is not an event. It's not an instantaneous event. So it doesn't happen. You don't just wake up one day and you say that, yes, this is my purpose. Yes, you can have an idea of the direction, right? This is important. The direction usually is clear. Sometimes you know that, okay, for you, you have to be in the field of agriculture, or you have to be in the field of finance, right? That is the general direction. But the specificity of that purpose comes on a daily basis. So it's a journey. So it's not an event, right? You need to understand the second principle is that purpose discovery is not an instantaneous event. It doesn't happen that you wake up and you know for sure every day what you're supposed to do, and that's it. No. It comes on a daily basis. So each and every day, as you stay connected to the source, you hear His voice and His direction even more clearly. I mean, I can give you a practical example, like the work that you do, Daniel. You know your work, you know the job description, yet you go to work every day. Why? This is a typical example of what I'm trying to allude to. That although you have a general direction of what your assignment is on earth, you need to connect every day to the source. You need to connect every day to God to better understand the specificity and the specific directions of the purpose that He has for you. So the first principle of purpose discovery is connecting to the source. The second principle is that purpose discovery is not an instantaneous event. Rather, it is a daily journey. The third principle, right, which I deem as the aspect that we as subjects who are supposed to fulfill the purpose, we are supposed to take more seriously. The third aspect of purpose discovery is that the source, in other words, God has given you everything that you need to fulfill that purpose. You have whatever it takes to fulfill that purpose. And that is the number 3 principle. That principle is so important because sometimes there's a feeling of inadequacy. There's a feeling of, am I good enough? Am I capable? Do I have what it takes? Am I knowledgeable enough? These are questions that kind of come to your mind that in most instances would cause you to doubt whether you're good enough for your assignment. The number one impediment, the number one stumbling block is fear. So there's that fear of not being good enough or not being prepared, right? So these are the three key things, three key principles, regarding your question, Daniel. The first thing, again, let me just wrap it up. Let me just reiterate. Purpose discovery, the definition of purpose is the original intent for which something has been made. And to understand the original intent, you need to understand the source of that intent, right? Just as I said that this phone has a manufacturer and has a designer. So there's a source of this design. This phone looks the way it looks because the manufacturer and the designer had a specific intent in mind. So in the same vein, your life on earth has a specific purpose. But to understand that purpose, you need to understand the original intent. And to understand the original intent, you need to stay connected to the source. So 3 principles. Number 1, connect to the source. Number 2, purpose is discovery. It's a process and not an event. And number 3, you need to understand that you have what it takes to fulfill whatever the purpose is. So, and during this pandemic, I think that we've been given a very unique opportunity. It's a very unique opportunity to spend quality time, with yourself and with the source. You need to understand that, whatever the dire situation is during this pandemic time, if you have life and you have the energy, you have the strength, it's a unique opportunity to just slow down a bit and think through, why am I here on earth? For me, this is the most important thing. I sometimes I don't even care whether I'll be paid for the things I do or not, because once it's connected to my purpose, I know that I have a greater reward at the end of the day, right? So think through, why am I here on earth? Why was I born to the parents that I was born to? Why do I have the siblings that I have? Right? Why was I born in the specific country I find myself, or the specific community that I find myself in? All these questions, come together, right? A coalescing of all these things gives you an idea of where God wants to send you and what He wants to do on earth. Right? So, Daniel, I do hope that these principles would help. And connect, discover, believe. Yeah, that's the thing. And I always, and I'm having conversations with people, I always say that I'm also still discovering, each and every day, like even to start People Who Inspire, it was a discovery. I did not begin the year last year to start, People Who Inspire, and to just come online and to talk to people. It was a discovery, through a moment of a time of prayer and a time of meditation, and I got the conviction and the direction to start People Who Inspire. Very similar to PKB Inspire, which is a YouTube channel that I started. So you realize that every day you are discovering, you are unraveling the purpose of God for your life. I have thought through why we are on earth in the first place. I mean, why were you created as a human, for example? Why did you come at the time? Why were you born in 1992? Why were you born in 1980? Why were you born in 1987? Or why were you born in 1993 or 1995? That is all coming together for you to understand that there is a purpose, there's a reason for your being, right? So no matter what you're going through, no matter what the challenges are during this pandemic, you still have a reason for being, right? So yeah, you're welcome, Daniel. I mean, that's why I came live today. So for those of you watching, if you still have any questions, please ask your questions just as Daniel did. Daniel asked a very poignant question. He asked how to find your purpose during this pandemic, right? And we talked about some principles, 3 key principles that are very important to discovering or unraveling your purpose. So I defined purpose as the original intent for which something has been made. And I also said that for every design, like this phone, for every design, there is a manufacturer, there's a designer. And this original intent comes from a designer. It comes from somewhere, there's a source. So connect to that source, which is God. So you have God, you have the original intent, and you have the subject, that is you and I. We are supposed to fulfill that purpose. There are a few other principles apart from these 3 principles that maybe Daniel can add to it. So you see, everything begins with purpose, like I said. And purpose, kind of gives you an idea of the direction, what your assignment here on earth is. But beyond purpose, you need to also, I get these questions a lot being asked, how do I, stay on course, my purpose? How do I make sure that I don't get distracted? Aside purpose, there is another very important aspect called potential. So when I talked about the source, so God creates you, he gives you a purpose, what your assignment here on earth is. And then there's potential, right? So potential has got to do with the innate abilities that the creator, places within you for your assignment. So again, when I take this phone for an example, it's a Samsung phone, right? So the manufacturer Samsung has placed in this phone certain capability for it to fulfill its original intent. So it has 4G, for example, right? And it has the ability to make calls, to receive calls, to connect to the internet. All these things are referred to as potential. So if you look at your life, if you did a personal audit of your life, you would realize that you have certain innate abilities within you. These are referred to as potential. So it could be public speaking, it could be, art, it could be music. I know, Daniel, you have a unique ability to pick up any instrument and then you're able to play them, right? Now, all these abilities that you find within you is what we call potential. But potential in itself is not enough. So the creator places in you the potential in order for you to use or activate, polish, and refine those potential that you have within you in fulfilling your purpose. Now, the next stage or the next aspect that you need to also get an understanding of is passion. So there's purpose, there's potential, and there's passion. So passion is that driving force that enables you to pick up your potential and activate that potential into something more kinetic in nature, something more, robust, and something more meaningful, right? Exactly, Daniel. You can't eat potential, right? It's so important. But potential gives you an indication of why you have those kinds of passion. So you realize that you have lots of potential, lots of ability, but you are passionate about certain specific ones, right? And that passion is the driving force. This is what keeps you, invigorated. This is what keeps you vivacious and keeps you going every day. So potential is the fuel, it's that driving force that kind of brings that kinetic energy to that potential that you have within you. It's what drives you each and every day, right? So you realize that you are extremely passionate about, for example, helping orphans, right? And that passion is linked to a certain potential that you have in you. Maybe the potential, to start a social enterprise, the potential to, do fundraising or solicit for grants to help orphans. I mean, these are the indicators. So we have purpose, we have potential, we have passion. Then the next thing you must understand, and is linked to team building, is people. So whatever purpose God gives you, He places you in a certain environment where you would need people to make it work. And that's got to do with building a team. So we've gone through, these stages. The last bit is people, right? So you cannot do it all by yourselves. Sometimes when I talk to people, we have this soloist mentality, and in the era of social media, in the era of virality or going viral, in the era of everyone wanting to outsmart the system and everyone wanting to fake it till you make it kind of mentality, a lot of us are a bit egotistic, and we only think that, okay, whatever my assignment is, I'm the only one who can do it, and I'm just supposed to do it alone. But that is not true. God gives you people. So in this case, you need mentors. In some instances, you need financiers, and in some instances, you need employees if you are supposed to start a business, right? You need, if you're even starting a ministry, you need church members. You're starting a church, you need church members, you need church elders, right? You need people, right? And this kind of completes that spectrum of fulfilling your purpose here on earth. You have the source or the creator, you have purpose, you have potential, you have passion, and you have people, right? These are really key. Yes, Daniel, it's really key. And I think that I personally believe in that principle, that there's nothing we can do all by ourselves, right? We can go thus far. If you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go with other people. And for me, that's crucial. Yeah. So team is key. It's super important. I mean, think about it. The set of skill sets that you have, if you're able to build a team of people with, complementary skill sets, you are able to gain some form of synergy, and you're able to amplify the impact that you can have, right? Because no one man is let's say, no one man has all the skill sets and the knowledge to do everything, right? So you have something, and another person also brings on board some other set of skill sets and perspective, to be able to do what you have to. Even our Lord Jesus Christ had disciples, right? He had apostles, and he commissioned them to go into the world to make disciples, right? So team, and that speaks of the teamwork aspect of it, people. So if you are joining today's episode of People Who Inspire, Daniel asked a very important question. So today we are doing a speed mentoring session. If you have any questions regarding your business, regarding your life, regarding regarding anything at all, just ask. I mean, I'll attempt to share my perspective. And I think Daniel asked a very poignant question, as I mentioned earlier, where he asked about purpose. How do you find your purpose during this pandemic? Right. So I have touched on a few principles about purpose, about potential, about passion, and people. All these things, the coalescing of all these things, really helps you to live a more purposeful life. in general. So if you have any more questions, just ask them, and let's get going. Yeah, I'm here to answer your questions if you have any questions. And thanks, Daniel, for your question. I think that yeah, it was a very important question, and I get this question a lot. A lot of times I get most of the time I get this question. Yeah. Sure, Daniel. You're welcome. Yeah. So I mean, I have about 10 more minutes to answer any question. If you have more questions, just ask them, and let's attempt to have a discourse and to throw more light on whatever your questions may be. So I'm just taking questions here. I think that a few months ago, I did a presentation on the various epochs that we have gone through, and I think that it's important to understand the times and seasons that we find ourselves in. An understanding of what kind of era or epoch that we find ourselves in is crucial if you want to fulfill your purpose, if you want to start that business, if you want to, extend a helping hand to society, be it a social enterprise or whatever it is. You need to understand the times that we find ourselves in, and an understanding of the times it's crucial. So maybe before I wrap up, I'll share with you guys some learnings and that I learned. I picked up from one researcher. Yeah, Daniel, a quick one on giving up. How do you stay encouraged, especially during these times? Yes, and that's that's exactly where I was going to with understanding the times. And thanks, Daniel. So Daniel is asking, how do you ensure you don't give up? How do you ensure that, I mean, irrespective of how hard the times are, you still keep the momentum going? Remember what I shared earlier, Daniel, on the 3 principles. The first principle is always stay connected to the source, right? Always stay connected to the source. For me, this is the number one most important aspect of getting your energy every day. Because you see, life would present you so many opportunities for you to give up. Life will knock you several times. Lots of challenges would come your way. That is for sure, it's going to happen. But what you need to do, and what at least works for me and for many people that I talk to, always stay connected to the source, stay connected to God. Every day, it's not even enough to just do it a few, like even when you're at work, you're behind your laptop, you're typing, stay connected, be conscious of who your source is, be conscious of God, right? Yeah, Daniel, it's hard. I know. I mean, for me, anyone who says that it's not hard would be lying to you, right? Perfectly understood. But nonetheless, the first thing you need to do is keep connected to God, keep connected to your source. For me, this is what works, because sometimes I feel like giving up sometimes, right? Sometimes it gets so tough. Sometimes like everything is a bit hazy and you don't know what your next move is supposed to be. It could be financially, it could be, from your family, it could be, from work, lots of pressure, lots of, expectations and deadlines. And, as things stand now, the global economy is unsure what the next month is going to be like. So it's absolutely understandable to express the sentiment that it's hard, perfectly clear. But this is what I believe you should do. The first thing, like I said, stay connected to the source, stay connected to God. right? When you're going to work, when you're going to get the bus or whatever it is, make sure that you are keeping your source intact, your connection to the source intact, right? Our strength is renewed, right? Not by just the food we eat, but the innate inspiration that God gives us, right? That inspiration that cannot be assuaged by physical food. It cannot be assuaged. That hunger cannot be assuaged, by the accumulation of physical wealth, right? And for me, these times, that is what is important. Because you see, I was reading yesterday, multi-millionaires dying of COVID. So it's not really about the physical wealth, right? It's about that innate hunger or that innate, craving for something beyond, this physical realm. So stay connected to the source. That's the first thing you need to do. Number two is that find yourself a group of people who can be a source of inspiration. So these, I personally have a very close knit of friends who have a certain kind of mindset, who have a certain kind of vision, and whose aspirations are somewhat, in consonance, and it resonates with what I want to do as well. So sometimes when I feel down, right, I call friends, right, but specific friends, because I managed over the years to keep a close, knit of friends who are a source of inspiration. They also call me sometimes because, like I said, remember the last block in the chain of this purpose discovery, I talked about people, which is the last bit, right? That is what I'm referring to. Stay connected to people who can inspire you, right? So it could be, I personally have about six of such people, right, who I stay connected to. So in other words, you need some form of inspiration from your peers, right? So these are people who understand you. These are people who know what you want to achieve. They understand your purpose to some extent because you have shared certain deep things with them, right? And these are people who can remind you when times are tough. They can remind you of why you're doing what you're doing, right? They can remind you of good times. They can remind you of the times where you shared with them that passion that you have. And number three, find mentors, right? So the number two is peers. So it's a very horizontal kind of thing. But then also find mentors, like a vertical kind of relationship with people who have gone ahead of you, right? Number one, stay connected to God. He's the source. Number two, stay connected to peers who can be a source of inspiration. And number three, get mentors, people who can vertically inspire you. So these are people who have walked the walk or have gone through the path you're trying to go through and can give you certain pointers. They can give you, certain, they can throw more light on what to look out for so that you don't commit the mistakes that they committed while they were on that journey, right? So find one or two mentors, right? They could be your pastors, they could be your mentor at work, or whomever it is. Just reach out to these people on a very regular, constant basis to talk to them, open up to them, right? If you are unsure of the next decision to make, call them and run those decisions by them and get their inputs, right? I believe that these are things that help in general. It doesn't take away the fact that the times are difficult and times are hard. No. But what it does is that you are able to at least get some inspiration along the way during this tough times. It's absolutely hard and difficult, like you said, Daniel. And thanks for your question. I do hope that some of these things that I've shared make sense and they would be of help. So I'll take my last two questions. So if you're watching, it's People Who Inspire, and today's speed mentoring session. So if you have questions, I'm here to answer as many questions as possible. If you have questions, just send them through and I'll try and do my best to answer them. So Daniel has asked very important questions, and I really love the questions that he's asked so far. The first question he asked was on purpose, and the second question is, how do you prevent yourself from giving up? How do you stay encouraged? You know, and it's tough. I mean, Daniel, I fully agree. It's tough. I mean, these times they are one in a generation time of events. It just happens one in a generation. So, and yeah. If you have any questions, if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to do so. And let's I just have 5 more minutes, 5 minutes maximum, and then I can end this live stream. So today we are just doing a speed mentoring session on people who inspire. If you have questions, just send them through. Let's talk about the questions that you have. And if you're unsure about anything, let me know. But before I go, I would want to tell you all that I launched my YouTube channel, as many of you would know, and just go to YouTube and type in PKB Inspire and just subscribe. I have, I think, 2 or 3 videos uploaded so far. Just go there and enjoy. Yeah. So Daniel, yeah, building relationships now is also a challenge, especially virtually. Any advice on how we can build stronger connections in this time? Yeah, yes, of course. Yes, I mean, that's the challenge, you know. This virtual, it takes a certain kind of resilience and a certain kind of mindset to make things work. It's tough because, I mean, we are all going through this together, and that's the unique thing about the times that we find ourselves in, because wherever you are in the world, this pandemic is affecting, you know, the way we live. So it's affected the way, you know, we live, the way we do everything, the way we do commerce, the way we do we relate with people. So for me, what I think, what I think can work in staying connected to people who can be of help is, use the tools that are available to you, right? There's WhatsApp. You don't have to. The trick I see is that because people have quite a bit of work and very daunting, you know, work schedules and stuff like that. A lot of people sometimes don't have time to make phone calls or to engage in phone calls. So you can basically do voice notes. I think it really helps. Recently, I was talking with one of my friends in the US, and that's what he would send a voice note, and then I'll listen to, and then I'll reply, you know, via voice note and all that. So just, I think in my view, I think it's easier when you use the tools that are available to you, like WhatsApp, right? You can do that via text. Like, for example, Daniel, you have my number, I have your number. So you can easily send a text or a voice note, right? If you need someone to talk to, send me a voice note, right? And let me know that, okay, look, I just need maybe 20 minutes of your time or 10 minutes of your time. Can we talk? And then definitely I would make time for that. So you can use WhatsApp, you can use like Zoom as well. I see that to work also quite well. Once you're able to confirm like a time for a talk or a conversation, you can set up via Zoom. But I think that you should still try, right? Sometimes I think we kind of beat ourselves up and we anticipate the worst, and so we don't even make the attempt. So we assume that, well, times are hard and and then stuff like that. So people are generally tied up and quite busy. Absolutely true. But it doesn't take away from the fact that you need help or you need someone to talk to, right? So just reach out, right? Even if you feel that the person is busy, reach out, send a text message, send a WhatsApp message, send a voice note, and just do that, right? And people would, from my experience, people would generally respond at some point, and when you reach out, right? So don't keep to yourself when you feel that, look, you need someone to talk to, and that would be my advice. Don't keep to yourself so much, because there's so much that one person can handle at a time, because to prevent yourself from imploding when you harbor so much of what you're going through to yourself. At some point, there'll be an implosion, and we don't want that, right? Because it's not pleasant. So just reach out, right? And people would usually respond when you reach out. Yes, Daniel. Yeah, sure. I'll be expecting to hear from you as well. So, guys, I think I would just wrap up today's episode of People Who Inspire. And if you would want to know more about business tips, life, purpose-driven living, and stuff like that, go to YouTube and follow my YouTube channel. It's PKB Inspire. Once you go to YouTube and you type in PKB Inspire, the YouTube channel will come up. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and let's continue the conversations. I will be bringing your way the interviews on People Who Inspire in the next week or two. So expect my first guest in the next week or two for People Who Inspire as we continue this year as well. And as promised, it's going to be an exciting year ahead of us, and we're going to enjoy each episode together. I would want to thank you all for staying in this live and for your contributions, to Daniel and all of you that tuned in for this episode of People Who Inspire. Again, it was a speed mentoring session where I just take your questions and I attempt to answer them and to support you. So I wish you a very great week ahead of you, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. We'll meet again in the next episode. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.